can never trust a nice person. That's why I don't trust Michael. Or Victoria.
And you're correct, too.
And welcome back to Nostalgia Club. We're doing a little bonus episode this week. I'm Jino, and I'm here with my two co-hosts,
Michael.
And Victoria.
So, hey, we're doing a bonus episode. Big shout out to Elizabeth, who emailed us in at nostalgiclubpodcast@gmail.com with some very kind words and also some suggestions for books we could cover. And today we're going to be talking about two of those. We're going to be talking about the Dragon Slayers Academy series, specifically the first book. What's it called again?
The New Kid at School.
A New Kid at School.
Yeah.
The New Kid at School? There's a new kid at this school.
Yeah.
Which is the Dragon Slayers Academy. And we're also going to be reading, live on the pod, a Meg Mackintosh mystery book. And we're going to be trying to solve the mystery for you with our big, big brains. It might not go so well. I'm not very smart. So that's the plan. Thank you again so much, Elizabeth, for writing in. Big shout out to the Secrets of Droon. Episode drooning all over the world since 1927.
Woo!
Which is not a year that's important at all.
I was like, just made that up. We got this email a while back, but we were like, we really want to cover some of these series, but it kind of like fell outside of our normal like episode structure. But now we're like, whatever.
Forget the structure.
Well, because before we were like, one of us has to have read it. But now we're kind of doing like things that we've all read or like experienced. There's like no rules anymore because we make the rules.
Yeah. So first on the docket, Dragon Slayers Academy, which gives a lot of How to Train Your Dragon energy, albeit in the opposite direction. They're not training these dragons. They are
slaying them.
But I know what you mean. There's this like hyperbolic, caricaturish North person stereotype where right from the get-go we have like, I'm a big burly Northman and I live in my like 4 foot by 4 foot hovel with my wife and 13 sons.
It's a lot of kids.
And we all revel in the fact that we don't like smart people. And I have one very small, thin boy who's very smart and he doesn't like hurting things and he is a pig.
Boy with pig.
Boy with pig. Pig's the best part. And he goes to dragon-related school that's run in a very not good way by people with perhaps not the best intentions. And he has friends.
Can you speak in this voice to the rest of the podcast?
Hello, my name is Jino Jang. I'm a professional.
End of sentence.
The character died with the first sentence.
Wow.
When was this first book of Dragon Slayers Academy written? Do we know?
Great
I turned to
question.
Victoria, who has both a laptop and a tablet. Oh, and also a phone open.
It was published in 1997.
Written by Kate McMullen and illustrated by Bill Basso.
Yeah, this is one of those children's books that has every now and then a little illustration going on with it, which is very fun.
Yeah, and they're very evocative illustrations. Very spooky. It's definitely a book written for a younger audience. And so they're very short. Perhaps not as young as Droon, but not as old as the aforementioned.
The aforementioned.
The aforementioned How to Train Your Dragon.
Words.
The basic gist of it is that you have this kid, Wiglaf, which is a wonderful name. Wiglaf is the
youngest of 13 sons.
I think he's actually the third oldest.
Yeah.
Oh, just kidding. Wow, I did not.
I know, right? Well, no,
Comprehend.
you almost expect it to be that, right? Like, oh, he's the smallest, he's the most diminutive, but no, he's like the third oldest.
Yes, and he is responsible for a lot of this family's chores and such. He has a mother and father and 13 siblings, and they all look down on him and they make him do menial labor.
Like the dishes.
And he sees a poster for Dragon Slayers Academy, also known as DSA, which sounds like a fraternity. And he attends the school. He gets in without paying the 7-penny tuition, I suppose, by working as a dishwasher. And he quickly learns, well, I think it's up for debate whether he realizes that he's not learning or not. because the character seems very impressed by the teachers.
Yeah.
But you,
The
the
teachers
reader,
are not teaching.
this school is essentially an MLM. It is a front for a scam. The teacher basically recruits these peasant children and also one nobility, but we don't know that yet. Peasant children to go and like attack dragons and then bring back their hordes for the owner of the school to keep all for himself and perhaps maybe give a little bit to the children, to these dragon slayers. The school is very bad at teaching the children how to slay dragons, and in fact, maybe falsifying all of its teaching records. Also in this world, each dragon has a very specific weakness.
Like very specific.
Like very specific. Sometimes it's fire. Sometimes it's like being tickled under the armpit or something. Sometimes it's like being read the dictionary. Like they're very specific. And when they die, they get like Thanos snapped away and turn into dust. So it's very like non-graphic for the kids.
What would be your dragon weakness?
Bullets. Knives is also a close second. And the bubonic plague.
Probably like, probably like someone honking their horn at me.
Yeah,
That's good.
Yeah. I feel like the dragon weaknesses are sort of like a pet peeve, but like just taken to the extreme level. So like the dragon at the end of the book, his weakness is bad jokes.
Yeah.
So it's basically like if your pet peeve is like really bad jokes, then in this case, you could die.
Which is an excellent callback because the book literally begins with like
A knock-knock joke.
yeah, like some traveling bard or whatever, like knocking on Wiggleoff's
Yeah.
home and his dad being like, "Who's there?" And the bard's like, "Me." He's like, "Me who?" He's like, "Please let me in. It's a blizzard."
Yeah.
And he's like, "No." This book is all about absurdity, it feels like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The idea that like in the end, good does get done. You know, this monstrous dragon is slain and people are saved, but through no effective use of any plan or whatever. It's just through like a comedy of errors,
Yeah.
and it's great.
Luck.
Speaking of like plans and errors, the sword that Wiggloff gets from that wizard in
Yeah.
the swamp, Shore Kill.
Yeah.
I can't. Okay, real quick. Chapter 2, and this definitely seems like a character that probably comes back in later books. As Wiggloff is on his way to Dragonslayer's Academy, he goes through this swamp with his pig, and he sees that there's someone sinking in this like quicksand, and he goes to help this person out, and this person just like levitates out of the quicksand, and it's like a classic wizard-looking character with a very like classic wizardy sounding name like Zartok or something.
And he's in the quicksand because he's recharging.
Yeah.
There's a lot of very funny like modern references in like slang and like just the way things are described that are kind of dropped in there sometimes, paired with like zounds.
The wizard's name is Zelnok.
I was close.
Yeah.
So Zelnok, well, he says he's going to like a wizard convention, but he's got to recharge his magic by like steeping himself in quicksand because I guess there's a lot of magic in there.
Whatever you gotta do, man.
I don't know if it ever gets explained, but it's one of those things that makes me go like, oh, I missed this. I
Yeah.
missed this Droon-esque like.
It doesn't need to make sense.
It doesn't.
It just needs to be funny with like a dash of social commentary.
Yeah.
The commentary being sometimes adults are very strange.
And he gives Wiggleoff this sword and says, "When you say a magic word, the sword will spring to your aid. I forget what the word is. Goodbye."
And the word we learn is help. And the sword does not spring to his aid. It leaves.
It's just so like cinematic. You can see like the whatever the dragon's name is. It starts with a G.
Yeah,
I
it's
think.
like Gel something.
Good dragon.
Good dragon. Good dragon's walking up and he's
Gorzil.
like, Gorzil's walking up and he's like, I'm gonna eat you. And he's got like flame coming out of his mouth. And Wiggloff's just like, Shore Kill.
Kill the
kill
dragon.
him. Shore Kill. Help! And Shore Kill, like you expect that to be like the joke, right? Like,
Yeah.
oh, he says help and Shore Kill does the thing. But no,
It
Shore
runs
Kill
away.
like launches into the air like a rocket. And like the dragon's like, oh no. But the sword just launches into the stratosphere. It just goes.
It doesn't come back until after the dragon's dead, and it misses where the dragon would have been entirely. It just like lands in the bushes somewhere. And Wiglaf's like, great, you tried your best.
The sword in this book reminded me of the sword in Magnus Chase.
Yeah, except way less useful.
I have not read Magnus.
So there's
Chase.
a sword in Magnus Chase, The Gods of Asgard.
Gotcha.
Written by Rick Riordan. The sword talks. The sword in this book does not talk. But the pig talks in pig Latin. That was fun.
That was great.
But the sword talks, and also Magnus can ask the sword to like kill enemies for him. But the catch is that after Magnus gets the sword back, he will feel physically as if he had defeated that creature.
Oh, that's
or
interesting.
enemy or whatever. So for example, one of the enemies he has to fight is like a giant. So he's like, gotta use the sword. And so he asks the sword to kill the giant, but then afterwards he feels as if he had like climbed up to like the giant's level and like expended all the effort required to like bring down a giant.
That's a cool magic system thing.
But like in this case, the sword, there's no catch, but it also doesn't do anything. But the dragon is defeated by knock-knock jokes.
Yeah, how about that?
Yeah. And then the thankful villagers ignore the heroes and raid the dragon's coffers for their stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So by their
Rightfully
right.
so, yeah.
Though there is a funny, like they were saved and they do just ignore the people who did the same
Yeah.
thing.
Who are like these like two children also.
There's Eric, whom we learn at the end of the book is Erica, who's hiding that she's a girl because I guess they don't allow girls at Dragon Slayer's Academy.
Wiglaf does have a little bit of like gay panic in the middle there.
Yeah.
He's like,
I did notice that.
Eric, you're very, very good looking. Wow. And Eric's like, shut up.
It's because Eric and Wiglaf are sent to fight Gorzil because Eric is like the top performer at the school, and I think also Eric volunteers.
The top performer, as in everyone scores 0, and Eric's score of 0 is just a little bit bigger than everyone else's.
Eric asks a lot of questions.
Eric is super into it.
Yeah.
Eric wants to be a hero and kill dragons.
Eric wants there to be blood.
Yeah. And then they're like, we need a second person. No one volunteers. So then they're like, you, pig boy, I read the ledgers and I saw that you did not pay your 7 pennies. So instead, you shall kill the dragon.
And Wiglaf's like, I made a deal with the cook, but I'm also not a narc.
Yeah. So good job, Wiglaf. So then they go and they arrive near the dragon's like den or whatever. And then they run into 2 kids who basically like have been sent as sacrifices to the dragon because the dragon was like, by the morning, you must send me 1 boy and 1 girl as my breakfast or whatever. They had to like draw a lottery for it, which also reminded me of the freaking lottery story.
Haunting.
So they're going and they're like very sad. And then Eric and Wiglaf are like, okay, we need a plan. So they come up with a plan, which is they're going to dress up as the kids. And Wiglaf is like, okay, but I don't think you could make a very convincing girl. And Eric's like, don't worry about it. And then we get to the moment that Jino referred to where like Eric dresses as a girl. He like wears the girl's clothes. And then Wiglaf is like, oh, wait, you're actually kind of pretty. But then it's revealed Eric is Erica, and she's a princess?
Yes.
And she basically like snuck into Dragon Academy.
Because she's that bloodthirsty.
Yeah.
Again, very How to Train Your Dragon. Not saying they ripped each other off or anything. That's just like a lot of stories are like this. But Kami in How to Train Your Dragon is like daughter of the chief or something. And
Yeah.
blah, blah, blah. Anyway, they get the dragon. He goes poof.
And that's pretty much...
That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not
That's
even
it.
sure if they get back at the end. Wiglaf's just like, oh, nice.
Wiglaf's like, wow, we're going to face the consequences of not returning with any treasure. But he is also the only kid to ever kill a dragon in that school. So,
Yeah. The fact that they returned alive, I think.
top
will
of the
be...
leaderboard.
Yeah.
With 1.
And I guess this sort of speaks to like the overall vibe of the story. But when we learned that the headmaster of the school is named Mordred, I was like, oh, well, any of us who have read the old T.H. White, Arthurian stuff are like, I wonder if this guy is going to be our like secret bad guy, like evil headmaster who's secretly, and he's like definitely greedy. But as I was like going through the list of book titles that are like later in the series and like they're like little log lines, I was like, oh, it doesn't seem, as far as I know, that like Mordred turns out to be this like, secret villain in the background who's going to be the source of all the bad, that, we have to defeat him in the end. It seems like he's just, for anyone who's watched SpongeBob, kind of a Mr. Krabs character.
Oh, that makes sense.
Who's just like, I like money. And like, he'll be an antagonizing force because he'll send the kids into harm's way and get everyone sort of in a sticky situation because of how much he wants money. But nobody is like expressly like the big problem except for maybe a given dragon of a given episode or something like that. I don't know.
I did want to read the poster that is posted because I thought it was very funny and it gave me a good laugh. So it starts out, "Is there a lazy lad hanging about your hovel? Is he eating more than his share of your good cabbage soup? Don't you wish he could earn his keep?" By the way, the family like only eats cabbages.
Oh, yeah.
They would be big cabbage version fans. Yeah.
Getting a lot of Willy Wonka vibes here.
Yeah. When the minstrel like lives with them for a little bit, he just eats cabbage soup for like a whole winter. And then he's like, I gotta get out of here. And they switch to cabbage pancakes.
Oh, yeah.
Just like all variations of cabbage. Anyways, it continues. Dragon Slayers Academy is your answer. Feast your eyes on just a few of our classes. How to stock a fire breather, how to get close to a dragon, how to get even closer, how to get really, really close. 101 ways to slay. Best of all, we will teach your boy how to bring a dragon's golden hoard home to you. And then it says, the fee, only 7 pennies, parentheses, plus a teensy part of each hoard. Which I highlighted because I was like, there's no way. There is no way. Send us your sons. We turn useless lads into heroes who go for the gold.
Sounds pretty good to me.
Yeah. Well, especially compared to Wiglaf's situation. I love how he like has to beg for it. And his dad's like, hold on, I'm going down the line. And he goes like to the first oldest, second oldest. And then he skips Wiglaf. And Wiglaf's like, no!
If I may, the cabbage slander in children's books, you don't really realize it when you're a kid. You're like,
that's true, yeah.
Cabbage is gross, right? And cabbage can be gross, and especially if it's the only thing you're ever eating.
Yeah.
But cabbage can also be very good.
Yeah.
And as a Korean, I feel like I must defend cabbage a little bit because it is like our national dish.
That's true, yeah.
I've been eating corned beef and cabbage every St. Patrick's Day for years, so I'm right there with you.
Cabbage is an international food for all peoples.
I will say that I personally did not enjoy cabbage until I was an adult, which is to say in recent years, adulthood.
It definitely has to be prepared right.
Yeah. The way that my mom cooks food, she just boils it. So that's the cabbage I grew up on.
Honestly, when I say corned beef and cabbage, I mean boiled corned beef and boiled cabbage.
It was not for me as a kid. I like stir-fried cabbage.
Stir-fried cabbage, cabbage rolls, kimchi, obviously.
You know, actually, literally until this moment, I don't think of kimchi as cabbage, even though it literally is.
But you don't think of it as cabbage when you look at it. You're like, oh, yeah, that's like, fermented, pickled.
I'm like, that's kimchi.
Yeah.
So what we're trying to say is Wiglaf should have enjoyed it more.
Yeah.
That was Dragon Slayers Academy. It's a great book for kids. It's sort of like SpongeBob, A lot of jokes in there. Kids can get a lot out of it.
Yeah.
Maybe not as much substance as some more like acclaimed children's books. But nothing wrong with it. This is great.
I do wonder how it progresses. As I was reading some of the different titles, it definitely seems like a very episodic sort of run, because I think the last one is called School's Out Forever. So I'm like, there's maybe a definitive ending to this.
I do know that the cast expands just by skimming the Wikipedia page. They do eventually start admitting girls into the school, which is a boys only school when it starts out. And I think the conflict of that book, whatever it may be, is that they make a big fanfare about admitting the first girl to the school, and it's not Eric. And Eric's like, I've been here the whole time. They're like, you don't count, or something like that.
I see. That would make me upset.
That's interesting, though. It feels in line with everything we've read in this first book of here's the poster, here's the byline.
Yeah.
And then the reality is actually quite different. Don't pay attention to that.
Just casual, humorous injustice.
Yeah. What a great time. I would agree with you. I'd say if you think books like a How to Train Your Dragon thing is the humor's there, but maybe some of the prose or whatnot is a little lost, you could definitely go Dragon Slayers Academy and you get the same vibe, but for a slightly younger reading level.
And now we will try to solve a mystery for you on the podcast. with Meg Mackintosh.
Yeah, so when Elizabeth wrote about this series, I think we were all intrigued by the idea of like, you get to solve the mystery along with Meg. We'll try our best. We decided to pick Meg Mackintosh and the mystery in the locked library. So the way that this book works, it basically like prompts you with questions of like, so what do you think Meg is going to do next? Or like, who do you think is the culprit or whatnot?
Oh.
There's also clues kind of hidden in the picture. So if there's like any clues that reference pictures, then we will try and describe the picture. But I shall begin. This cereal looks like bark and twigs, Meg Mackintosh said to her brother Peter. I guess Alice thought we'd like it, Peter shrugged. She bought it just for our visit. Hey, look out, you almost ate the coupon. Meg quickly snatched a folded piece of paper from Peter's spoon. Wait a minute, this doesn't look like a coupon. Yeah, it's not shiny enough, said Peter. Quick, read it before the ink runs. Gramps peered over Meg's shoulder. What is it, a secret message from a cereal factory? Meg scanned the note. It's from Alice, she said. Gramps, she's still calling you Georgie Porgy. Porgy?
Georgie Porgy? That sounds right.
She must have snuck the note into the cereal before she went to work at the library, said Gramps. That's my cousin, sly as ever. The note reads, Dear Georgie Porgy, Meg and Peter, help me, please.
Whoa.
Go to the locked library. This isn't a tease. I had to hide something very valuable, I'm sure. Follow my clues, find it, and keep it secure. It could be stolen after the library opens at noon. I've an emergency at the dentist and won't be back soon. Clue number 1 is where to find the key. It rhymes with crook stop at the library. Signed, Cousin Alice.
When is this book set? Is there like a general...
I don't know, but it was
Decade
written
vibe.
in 1993.
I'm going to say 93.
Yeah. This sounds urgent. Meg reached for her detective knapsack. A mystery in the locked library? Fantastic. I would have loved this series as a kid, just by the way. Like,
I can tell.
Yeah.
As we have discussed, I was a big Nancy Drew fan, but like as a kid, I was always like, I would love to like have my little detective notebook and go and solve mysteries, but it's hard to go places as a kid in the US. Anyways. Outsmarting thieves, Peter jumped up, and I was afraid this would be a boring vacation. Life's never boring with Cousin Alice, Gramps sighed. Now what is she up to hiding valuable objects? I bet it's just another prank. Remember my missing Babe Ruth baseball? He shook his head. Well, you can count me out. I don't want anything to do with her latest scheme. But Gramps, you've got to come, Meg pleaded. Oh, all right, but only to make sure she doesn't get you in any trouble, said Gramps. And I'm bringing my radio so I don't miss the ball game. Meg dug her notebook out of her knapsack and started writing. Let's brainstorm, Peter. The key is hidden somewhere that rhymes with crook stop. Took mop? Peter suggested. Come on, we'll
Peter,
figure it out when we get there. They headed for the door. So we've got rhymes with crook, cook, look, took, rook, book, nook. Rhymes with stop. Bop, pop, drop, cop, mop, shop.
Is the implication like it rhymes with crook stop as like one thing?
I think.
I think so. Because they give you a little list of words there.
Yeah. I think it's like each word rhymes with something.
Crook stop, bookshop.
Yeah, right?
That makes sense.
Where do
It's a
you
library.
think the key could be?
We're going to have to steal the Declaration of Independence for this one.
Rhymes with crook stop.
Washington.
The Smithsonian.
I think I know.
I mean, bookshop, right? It's got to be.
Yeah, bookshop.
Oh, I was thinking book drop.
Oh,
that makes
because
sense too.
Yeah.
At the library, there's a book drop.
That make that.
In my defense, at our local library, there was also a
That's
bookshop.
true. Yeah.
Wow.
Well, it could
So
be either.
confident. I mean, it's got to be bookshop, right? Victoria's like, well, what about book drop? Oh.
I could be wrong. You don't know.
Victoria, you said that with the air of someone who's absolutely right.
Like, well, you've given your meager guesses. Time to see which one of us is correct and which one of us is stupid. You're like, I'm looking at two people that are about to eat their words.
Anyway. The library was only a few blocks walk from Alice's house. What exactly do you think we're supposed to look for? Peter asked. It must be pretty important, said Meg. She took out her instant camera and viewed the scene. You know Alice, said Gramps. She loves clues and mysteries, and she's not going to make it easy for you. Meg focused her camera on the library and snapped a picture. Then she noticed something. Here's the picture of the library.
Does it say book drop? Yeah, it says book drop.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. Oh, man. Turn in your badge and gotten in.
Hey, I know where the key is, Meg exclaimed. At the book drop. That rhymes with crook stop.
You can't look at us like that, Victoria. You can't give us this.
She just eyebrows raised, eyes wide.
No, that rhymes with crook stop.
Okay, that's so obvious, Peter wrote.
Gosh. Oh, it's all coming back to bite us. We were making fun of Peter.
Every sentence.
Oh. Oh, okay, keep going before we actually perish.
Then why didn't you get it? They raced up the steps and began searching the book drop for the key. This is so funny. Also, like, if any kid, like, didn't get it, then they're just, like, being roasted by Peter. If it's dropped inside, we'll have to do the old chewing gum and string trick to get it, Peter said. Feel around underneath. Maybe the key is taped to the bottom. Oh, that reminds me, when I was young, I took a paper clip, I tied it to a string, and I wrapped the string around a popsicle stick. And that way, if you're like up high and there's something down below, like below the stairs that you want to get, you can unravel the popsicle stick with the string and use the paper clip hook to like pick up the object. I mean, obviously there's limits to what objects you can pick up, but yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, ingenuity.
Important detective kit items.
I would have just shoved my fingers into the gap between the stairs until they hurt and then been very upset.
No, it's like if like you're on the second floor and you're like reaching and you're trying to get something on the first floor.
Ingenious.
Yeah. Okay, so
This is why you got book drop.
Yeah.
You're the professional. We're the chumps.
You're right, Meg called out. Here it is. It's got a note with it too. Here's clue 2. Now watch the clock and check out an old Sherlock. Be sure to go to the right section. Checking dates is good detection. P.S. Please lock the door behind you. Where should Meg go next?
I have a theory.
Yes.
I think the clock's going to be stuck at a time. You go to the section with all the Sherlock Holmes books, and you find the date that matches with the time on the clock. And then there's something in the book there.
It's pretty sharp. All I got was, well, you're probably going to the mystery section.
Yeah, I was also like probably the mystery section.
And then you'll figure it out from there.
Yeah.
That's a good guess, though.
Thank you.
All right. Well, we've put in our guesses. Michael, would you like to continue?
Oh. They quietly entered the cool, dim library. Peter flicked on the lights while Meg relocked the door. Sherlock? Alice must mean Sherlock Holmes, the world's greatest detective, said Meg. Watch the clock, Peter added. Maybe something's hidden in that old clock. Maybe, Meg replied, but I think Alice means we have to keep track of the time and hurry. Now, why would Alice want you to hurry? Gramps asked. There's no one else around. She's afraid someone might steal the valuable object after the library opens at noon, Meg replied. I wish I had my camera, said Peter. Meg-o, let me borrow yours. Maybe I'll spot something valuable. Okay, Meg handed it over, but don't drop it. Just then, they heard a sound from behind a shelf of books.
Sorry.
An older boy stepped out from behind the encyclopedias.
Get him!
Hey, what's going on here? He asked. I'm Alice Mackintosh's cousin, Gramps explained. She gave us a key, added Meg. We're solving a mystery, Peter blurted out. Shh, big mouth, Meg elbowed Peter. The boy looked puzzled. Well, Alice is the head librarian. If it's okay with her, it's okay with me. He shook hands with Gramps. I'm Jerry, spelled with a G, by the way.
Oh.
I'm Jerry. I help out around here. Okay, What's your job? I help out around here.
How vague.
A ringing phone interrupted them, and Jerry went to the checkout desk to answer it. That was Alice's dentist, he told them after he hung up. She hasn't shown up for her appointment. Oh, she's always late, said Gramps as he looked at the map of the library posted on the wall. I'll be in the reading room listening to the game. Let me know if you need me. That's primo, Grandpa. Come on, Peter, Meg tugged his sleeve. Let's get to work. Peter was busy taking photos. Okay, where do we start? And we have not only a picture of Jerry with a G.
Oh.
Something's up with Gerald. I don't trust him.
Yeah, he's got his eyebrows are kind of twisted and like a you don't know everything I know kind of vibe. And we also have this like layout of the library.
Ooh, okay. There's no mystery section.
There's an M and a... Oh, that's bathroom.
I would say go to the fiction section first.
Yeah.
Because Sherlock
Fiction
Holmes
section.
is fiction.
That's true. That's a good
As
bet.
far as we know, anyway.
As far as we know.
The clue says, check out an old Sherlock. Maybe there's a clue over there. Meg headed to the checkout desk. She began flipping through the file cards on books that were checked out. No Sherlock Holmes books here, she called over to Peter. That's kind of smart. Peter was frantically pulling out card catalog drawers. It's already 10:30 and the library opens at noon. That doesn't give us much time. Alice must have had a hunch the valuable object was in danger. Meg tapped the desktop impatiently, then reread the clue. Be sure to go to the right section. Checking dates is good detection. I can't find anything under Sherlock, Peter muttered. Come on, let's take a look in the biography section under H. Better think again, Peter, said Meg. What was Peter's mistake?
Is it right section as in like actual direction right? Like
I think it's because he said, let's go to the biography section under H. I think he's assuming Sherlock Holmes is a real person.
yeah. So that's on Peter.
Yeah, Peter.
Yeah, that person who wrote Sherlock Holmes. His name is Stephen Moffat. You gotta look under, look under M for makes bad show.
We should look in the fiction section, not in biographies, Meg told him. Sherlock Holmes is a fictitious character written from the imagination, you stupid... No, I'm kidding. She's very respectful. Oh, right, said Peter. We should look under the author's last name. Exactly, said Meg. Stephen Moffat. And the author is Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. So we should look in fiction under D for Doyle. Let's go. You would know that, said Peter. They raced to the fiction bookshelves.
Meg ran her fingers along the backs of the old books. Alice sure is a mystery fan. See how she puts little magnifying glass stickers on the spines of all the mystery books? Yeah, and look at all the Sherlock Holmes books, exclaimed Peter as they began opening the books and searching for clues. What do these books have to do with the valuable object? I don't know yet, said Meg. She checked her watch. But we have to find out, and soon. So my clock theory was wrong, is what
So
I'm
it's
getting
literally
here.
just watch the
It
clock
was real
for the
smart.
time.
It was...
That was a good idea though.
Not good enough for Meg. 10 minutes later, they were both discouraged. Nothing, said Peter. Me either. Not a scrap of paper. Remember, Alice can be pretty tricky in the clue department. She wouldn't have written a message inside a book, would she? Librarians never write in books, Peter said. Then he reread the clue. Except what? Asked Meg. What is Peter getting at?
Wait. So they're trying to find out what the next clue is.
Yeah.
Librarians never write in books, except. So maybe there's an exception to writing in books.
Oh.
Oh.
Is this going to be one of those, like, you know how books, I don't know if they do this so much anymore, but there would be the little card inside where people would write the name of, like, who checked it out last?
I think they check the file cards though.
Sometimes in library books there's like name and then date of checkout. Oh, date of checkout.
Oh.
Let's see.
All three of us
Unless-
together.
Unless
We're all wrong.
the clue says, checking dates is good detection, said Peter.
Oh.
Huh? You thought Alice meant checking the file for books that are due back at the library. Then maybe she means checking the due date on the back of the book, not on the inside of the book. I was wrong there.
Oh.
I mean, I think it depends. Like, different libraries have different systems. Like, at my library, it's usually like the inside front cover, but I assume other libraries have different ways of like putting the cards.
Some libraries are computerized, but it looks like Alice still stamps the due dates by hand.
Sorry. By the way, I wanted one of those library book stamps so bad as a
Stamps.
kid.
Oh man, library
It's the
stamps.
classic.
Like, I was obsessed with it. Like, I was like, if I ever become a librarian, it's because I want to be able to do that. But now they don't even do that anymore, so it's sad.
Yeah, that's no masters for you, I guess.
Some libraries are computerized, but it looks like Alice still stamps the due dates by hand. That's the only place where she would dare write in a book. Good thinking, said Meg. She examined the date card of each book. And then there's a picture of the date cards.
Ooh, show us the picture.
It was like Hounds of Baskerville. Oh, they're all the Hounds of Baskerville.
Oh, nice. So there's some that are stamped in like the classic stamp, the library stamp, but there's also one written. It says CLU 364.12.
Oh, CLU? Clue?
Clue?
Clue
Oh,
3.
Clue 3.
Clue. Wow!
We're geniuses.
We're thinking about it like data analytically.
I bet the number that follows is like a Dewey Decimal System number.
Oh.
Look at this Sherlock Holmes book, The Hound of Baskervilles, Meg pointed out. Instead of a date stamped, there's a number penciled in. It can't mean March 64, 1912, said Peter. Definitely not. Meg ripped a corner of paper out of her notebook and jotted down the number. What could the number mean?
Dewey Decimal System.
Dewey Decimal System.
This looks like a number from the Dewey Decimal System,
Yeah,
said
got
Meg.
it.
Libraries use it to classify nonfiction books into different subjects. Come on, the 300s are over here, Peter jumped up. It didn't take Peter and Meg long to find the book numbered 364.12. It was titled Detective Skills, and inside was a small folded piece of paper. Meg opened it and read, Clue number 4. You're almost there. Put on your deer stalker and don't despair. JFRVGKOVZHV. Hint, A equals Z.
Oh, cipher.
Ah.
Deerstalker, isn't that the kind of hat Sherlock Holmes wears? Asked Peter. Only in the movies, not in the books, Meg said. Alice might mean for us to use our thinking caps. She flipped open her notebook to decode the message. Suddenly, there was a noise at the door. Shh! What's that? Said Peter. The lock on the front door clicked and a young woman stepped in. Hello? What's going on? She asked Peter and Meg. The library isn't open yet. It's okay, Caroline. Jerry poked his head out from behind a nearby bookshelf. These are Alice's cousins. She gave them a key. Our grandfather is in the reading room, Meg explained. Probably snoring, Peter added. Caroline looked confused. Alice mentioned you were coming to visit, but I forgot. Well, it's nice to meet you, she said. What are you up to today, Jerry? Just the usual cleaning up. Did you see the box of old books your uncle donated to the library yesterday? Oh, I've hardly had a chance. I wonder if Alice started cataloging them. She turned lightly on her heels and walked straight to the office. Yoo-hoo, Miss Mackintosh? A voice from behind made them jump. You shouldn't sneak up on people like that, Peter protested. Oh, it's a bearded man.
Yoo-hoo.
I mean, bearded men can have high voices. No,
It's true.
Yeah. So sorry, the bearded man apologized. I didn't want to interrupt. This is a public library, isn't it? Yes, but it's not open yet. Caroline had stepped out of the office. I'm Caroline Stone, librarian's assistant. I must have forgotten to relock the door. I'll lock it, Jerry volunteered. I'm Horace Plotnick, the man said.
Horse Plotnick?
Horace Plotnick.
Oh, Horace.
He fumbled for a minute, then pulled a crumpled business card out of his pocket. I'm an authority on antiques. Miss Alice Mackintosh called me to appraise a valuable object.
All right.
Sus.
Oh, I see, said Caroline. Well, she's not in yet, said Jerry. She's at the dentist. Then if you don't mind, I'll wait. Mr. Plotnick glanced at the old clock. I am a bit early, but I must say I'm curious to see what she's got. As he headed to the reading room, he peered at Meg's notes. I love word puzzles. May I help? No thanks, said Meg. She covered her notes. Meg is like,
Smart.
This man is sus. Did you hear that? Peter whispered to Meg. Whatever it is we're looking for must be worth a lot. And we'd better hurry up and find it before anyone else drops by, Meg muttered. They basically made a little cipher code.
Oh,
we can't see
nice.
all of it though. When Jerry stepped up to check out his own books, Meg Why is Jerry checking out books?
What is Gerald, what are you doing? Get out of here.
When Jerry stepped up to check out his own books, Meg quietly covered her notes again. You're a mystery fan too, she said, noticing the titles. Love them, said Jerry. Alice always tells me when a new one comes in. Have you worked here long? Peter asked him. A few months. I'm saving up for some powerful binoculars. For spying? Meg guessed. Nah, for baseball games, Jerry laughed. Caroline turned to Meg and Peter. What are you two working on? Looks like they're trying to solve some kind of secret code. Jerry peered over Meg's shoulder. I think it's something to do with Sherlock Holmes. Just kid stuff. This isn't kid stuff, protested Peter. Sherlock Holmes? He's one of my favorite detectives, Caroline smiled. Don't let me interrupt your fun, but if I were you, I'd look down in the book repair room. There's a very good book about codes down there being rebinded. Meg closed her notebook, slid off her seat, and headed for the stairs. I've almost cracked the code, but let's check it out anyway, she whispered to Peter. I bet Jerry follows. He's been spying on us, Peter whispered back. Gerald, don't forget to take out the recycling bin. His name really is Gerald.
Yeah. Can't hide from me, Gerald.
Gerald, don't forget to take out the recycling bin, Caroline reminded him. The truck will be here soon. Whoops. Jerry smacked his forehead. I'll get it, right after I show them the way downstairs. He dashed after Meg and Peter. From the stairs to the cellar, Meg heard a pounding on the book repair room door. It was bolted from the outside. "Hey," she cried. "What's that noise?" "Hurry up," Peter called out to Jerry. "Don't worry, I have a key." Jerry hurried down the stairs. Gramps and Mr. Plotnick had heard the commotion and came following behind them. Jerry fumbled for the right key on his key ring, then finally sprung the door open. It was Alice!
And she was dead!
"Alice, are you all right?" they all exclaimed. "Thank goodness," cried Alice. "I got locked in here hours ago. Who's been blaring the radio with the baseball game?" "George, it had to be you. What are you doing with a radio in the library?" She caught her breath. "Oh, my aching tooth."
Oh, no.
Oh, man.
Your appointment.
A
Yeah.
medical emergency.
No, they'll charge you for missing it.
"Sorry, Alice," said Gramps. "Are you all right? What happened?" "Oh, I'm all right, except for this toothache. I was on my way to the dentist, but I came here first because I'd forgotten the book I was repairing for Dr. Hugo. A breeze must have blown the door shut, and then the lock jammed." Alice held her jaw. "I've been banging on the door, but you couldn't hear me because of that noisy radio."
Wow, they were really blaring that ball
Yeah.
game.
A breeze underground
Yeah.
jam.
There's no way.
Sus. Sus. Everyone's
Alice,
guilty.
too.
Everyone's guilty.
Meanwhile, Peter examined the lock. "But Alice, this lock couldn't possibly catch all by itself. Someone must have shut you in there on purpose." "That's ridiculous. You've been reading too many mysteries," said Alice. "Now let's talk upstairs."
It's gotta be Jerry. It's gotta be Jerry.
It's gotta
He
be.
was already there.
Yeah.
He had the key.
Arrest him!
Meg
Throw him in
whispered,
the sea.
Meg whispered to Peter, "Do you really think someone locked her in?" "Looks that way to me," said Peter. "I smell a rat." Just then, Alice noticed Mr. Plotnick behind Gramps. "Oh, hello," she said. "You're a bit early for our appointment. I'll be with you in a few minutes." "No hurry, ma'am." Mr. Plotnick looked up from his antique guidebook. "I've got plenty of time." As Alice herded Meg and Peter towards the stairs, she asked, "Did you find it?" "Not yet, Alice. We've almost got it," Meg answered, and then she practically flew up the stairs. Quickly fetching her notebook from the checkout desk, Meg finished decoding the message and joined Peter and Alice in the reading room. "Have you cracked the code yet?" So we actually have to crack the code.
Well,
Jino looked it up. I was going to manually type it out on my phone, which would take too long.
Okay, so what's the text?
Okay, so we got J R V G K O V Z H V.
Quiet, please.
Oh.
Quiet, please.
oh.
Quiet, please.
Maybe a sign on the wall.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
We're getting it's all
Michael.
coming together.
All right. I'm currently 1 for 5 or whatever.
Directly over the chair where Gramps had been sitting all morning was a sign.
Oh! He wasn't following the rules.
Quiet, please. Meg reached up behind it, and sure enough, there was another clue. It was wadded up in a ball. Jerry snuck up behind her. "Did you find something?" he asked. "Where was the clue?" "Behind the quiet, please," Meg said. "Behind the what?" Jerry asked. "Quiet, please," repeated Peter. "Don't tell me to be quiet," shouted Jerry. "I did it!" Peter hollered back. "What's going on?" Mr. Plotnick hustled into the reading room, followed by Gramps. "Shh! Quiet, please, everybody." Caroline had come away from the computer desk. "Alice, are you all right? Jerry just told me what happened." "I'm okay, Caroline." Alice clicked off Gramps' radio. "Go ahead and read the clue, Meg. Then I'll explain everything." Meg smoothed out the wadded piece of paper and read, "Fifth and final clue.
Oh.
The solution to the mystery is something old and very rare. Quiet, please, as you periodically browse through there. Watson's Friends Adventures of 1892, a first edition of You Know Who."
The Dead Sea Scrolls.
Whoa.
It all makes sense.
At the Hudson Public Library.
So periodically is underlined.
So like scientific periodic table.
I
there
was
was-
also thinking newspapers.
Oh.
In the map of the library, there
Oh,
was
there's a
section.
periodical section.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then there's also like Watson's Friends Adventures of 1892. So it's probably like a really old first edition of Sherlock Holmes.
Wait. Watson Friends Adventures, if it's periodicals, wasn't Watson the character like a veteran of a war?
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Wasn't
1892. That would like
Wait,
some
was
British.
he in Egypt? "Quote unquote expeditionary military endeavor."
Yeah.
The Great War of 1892 was a story of the genre termed invasion literature, published in the weekly magazine Black and White.
Are we actually?
Yeah.
It seems like a fictional war.
Okay.
That's just like the first thing that came up, though.
What a
Okay.
term, though. Invasion literature.
But the thing that catches me is a first edition of You Know Who. So that implies to
gotta
me
be
that it's got to
Sherlock.
be Sherlock Holmes.
We're overthinking.
Yeah.
I'm overthinking.
It's okay.
I've
No,
led
these
us astray.
This is good. This is good.
No, I think the kids know about this war of 1892 book. I
This
think
fictional
this is popular.
war.
Yeah.
Watson's friend. I think I know what we're looking for, said Meg. And I think I know where it is, too. What are they looking for? Where do you think it is? We've already done all our speculation.
Yeah.
We don't have to keep.
Dr. John Watson was friend and assistant detective to none other than Sherlock Holmes, declared Meg. First edition, it must be a book. A book? Peter looked shocked.
Come on, Peter, get your head in the game.
A book in the library?
Impossible.
Many old books are very valuable, said Mr. Plotnick. Is it a very rare book? Peter said, apparently reconsidering. A very rare Sherlock Holmes book? All these voices. You're absolutely right, Alice grinned. You've been looking for a first edition of The Adventures of Sherlock Holmes by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, first published in 1892 by George Nunez? Sure, George Nunez Limited, London. That would be worth a fortune, said Mr. Plotnick. Gramps looked puzzled. But Alice, why did you hide it? Why didn't you bring it home if you were so worried? It's library policy not to remove valuable objects, Alice explained. The collection of old books just came yesterday. I was worried that something might happen to the Sherlock Holmes book before I could get it appraised and get a proper bookcase to lock it in. So I hid it for safekeeping. Then I planted the clues so you would find it and keep it safe until I returned from the dentist. I was afraid I might be there for hours, and then who knows what could have happened to it. And you were also testing our library skills, added Peter. Oh, I am a bit of a schemer, Alice admitted.
Oh, Alice.
Now reread the clue and you'll find the book. Peter glanced at the note. Periodically is underlined. It might have to do with periodicals. Peter, you freak. Right, that's library talk for magazines, said Meg. Meg and Peter looked through the shelf of magazines beside the Quiet Please sign, but they came up empty-handed.
Oh, yeah. Earlier, I think I said newspapers because of periodicals, but
I mean, it's sort of...
whatever.
Yeah, it's all the same. It's all words on paper.
Well, Alice, here's a mystery for you, Peter said. I detect your Sherlock is missing. What? Alice cried. She jumped up and shuffled through the magazines. What do you think happened?
Jerry stole it.
Gerald did a thievery.
Yeah, we haven't seen Gerald, although we also haven't seen Caroline.
I think she's fine.
Yeah, no,
it's
it's not
gotta be Gerald.
Jerry's been poking around the library, doing stuff. He's also
Yeah.
a big mystery fan.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
he's saving up for that pair of binoculars.
He solved all
Ooh, he
the
could
clues
solve-
and then put them back so the kids
Yeah.
wouldn't know.
He might want the book so that he can sell it and then buy his binoculars that way.
Yeah.
Hmm.
This guy,
Jerry.
this is a bad idea,
Yeah.
man. You got too many eyes on you.
Yeah.
Oh, no! Someone did steal the book, cried Alice. I'm sure it was here this morning when I came in. Peter, maybe you were right. Maybe someone did lock me in. While everyone else continued to search the shelves for the missing book, Meg motioned Peter over to the checkout desk. Alice couldn't be mistaken about where she hid the book. She was so exact about it. It must have been stolen. We've got to find it, added Peter. We're the ones who were supposed to find it and keep it safe. Let's see those instant photos you took this morning, suggested Meg. Maybe we can learn something from them. Peter fished the photos out of his pocket, but when he tried to clear space on the checkout desk to view them, he accidentally knocked over Jerry's pile of books, sending pencils, mail, and everything else flying. Careful for Louisa May Alcott.
Louisa May Alcott, the writer of Little Women.
Oh,
Oh,
Sorry.
she's here too.
jeez.
I love that book.
I guess she's saying, like, instead of like, oh, for the love of whatever.
Careful
Careful for Louisa May Alcott. Meg nimbly caught the statue. Oh, she's catching a
Oh,
statue.
Oh,
She's catching a statue.
the
I see,
book's
I see.
inside the statue. We need to smash the statue open.
Careful for Louisa May Alcott. Meg nimbly caught the statue. I got the intonation there. As she helped straighten things, she noticed something strange. She said. This is weird. This mystery sure is weird, Peter replied. I bet someone broke into the library early this morning. But Alice saw the book when she came in, remember? Meg shook her head. Anyway, how would the thief know where the book was hidden? Hey, Mago, let me borrow your magnifying glass, said Peter. I see something in one of these photos that might prove when the book was stolen. Do you see anything that might help prove when the book was stolen?
I think this is one of those, like, you got to go back into the rest of the book to, like, get clues, which it's fine.
Well, in that case...
I'm lazy.
Look, exclaimed Peter. In this photograph, you can see the corner of The Adventures of Sherlock Holmes between two magazines. Gramps was sitting right next to it all morning. It would have been impossible for someone to have taken it without his noticing. Excellent, Peter, said Meg. But the photo shows that the book must have been stolen while we were here. She frowned.
So it was stolen while they were downstairs with Alice.
Gramps stole it.
So maybe it wasn't Jerry. Because Jerry went with them?
Hey, Gramps did leave the reading room once. He and Mr. Plotnick came downstairs when we found Alice. I'll go check the door and the windows and see if it looks like someone broke in, said Peter. You brainstorm. As Meg jotted in her notebook, she listened to the others talking in the reading room. Alice, are you sure it's missing? You didn't accidentally misplace it? Asked Gramps with no faith in Alice. I'm positive, Alice insisted. You mean I came all the way over here for nothing? Mr. Plotnick sounded annoyed. Mr. Plotnick, there's been a theft.
Yeah.
Come on, man.
Come on.
Maybe those kids hid it as a trick. There must be some reasonable explanation, said Caroline. Jerry, did you see it? Don't look at me, Jerry mumbled. I didn't take it. Suspicious.
It's totally Jerry.
Jerry, did you see it? Jerry whips out a gun.
Just finish your chores, Caroline said softly. And please take the recycling bin out to the curb and the mail to the mailbox. What if it's in the recycling bin?
Oh. That'd be a good place to stash it. You can hide it like under papers. And then when you take out the recycling, you can sneak it away.
I guess.
Well, I have other appointments. Mr. Plotnick stood up, tried to smooth down his jacket, and picked up his briefcase. I think you better stay here until we get this settled, Gramps told him politely. Alice, we should call the police if you think someone broke into the library. Ow, now I'm really in pain, moaned Alice.
Poor Alice.
Yeah, thieves and toothaches in one day. This is horrid. Gramps put his hand on her shoulder. Don't worry, we'll figure this out. Meg twisted one pigtail and thought hard about what could have happened to the valuable book. What do you think happened? Who are the suspects?
Jerry.
Gerald.
So Gramps and Mr. Plotnick are out because they went down to check on Alice. Jerry, it's like he did go down with them with the key, but then he might have disappeared. I guess technically Caroline is slightly suspicious, but like she's so nice.
She's so nice, and
she's the assistant. Jerry has the best motive because he also likes mystery books and he is trying to buy binoculars.
If it's Caroline, then she probably hid it in the recycling and is going to swoop by later and grab it.
Unless Caroline and Jerry are both in it together.
Oh, see, that's...
Well, let's find out.
It's Meg.
Meg's double. She's an evil twin.
Oh my gosh. Like, this is the middle book in this series, and we just get introduced to this character we had no context for.
It's like, what is it, Ned?
It's Jem, my evil twin sister.
What? It's like Ned and Nancy Drew, right? He just shows up, and he's like, it's me, and then he leaves. Yeah.
It could happen.
All right, here we go. A few minutes later, Peter returned to the desk. I checked all the doors and windows in the library. They're definitely locked. No one could have broken in. He leaned over Meg's shoulder and read her notes with wide eyes. Here are the notes. Mr. Plotnick. He collects rare objects and came early for his appointment with Alice. Now he wants to leave. He loves puzzles. Jerry. He has his own key to the library. He's been snooping around. He loves mysteries. He's saving money for an expensive item.
He's written a manifesto.
Caroline Stone. She has her own key to the library. Her uncle gave her some books to the library. That's nothing. Gramps. Whoa! Accusing Gramps. Maybe he wants to get back at Alice for all her pranks. Nah. That's what it says.
It's too much effort.
That proves it, said Meg firmly. The Sherlock Holmes book has been taken by Mr. Plotnick, Caroline, or Jerry. Jerry did check out an armful of mysteries, she continued. Maybe he's a mystery book collector. But if Jerry took the Sherlock Holmes book this morning, why would he hang around so long? To let Alice out, said Peter. He felt guilty. Or maybe because he couldn't find the book at first. How could anyone find it without messing up the whole library? No one knew where Alice had hid it. Meg thought for a second. You've got a point there, Peter. When Jerry saw us trying to solve a mystery about Sherlock Holmes, he hoped we'd lead him to it. Now he's waiting for the opportunity to get out of the library. I'll look around and see if I can find where he hid it. And if we catch him red-handed, we'll crack the case. But how could anyone find the book before us, Meg wondered. She dug Alice's clues out of her knapsack, hoping they would jar her memory. She was determined to figure this out. That's strange, she said to herself. Did you notice anything strange about the clues? And then there's a picture of the clues. One of them's crumpled. The last one's crumpled.
Oh, yeah, that's smart. You can't read what's on these, so it really is just about which one's crumpled. I was thinking, like, if it was, like, wadded up behind the quiet please sign, how? Like, I feel like it would be folded up nicely and, like, put behind there, right?
Yeah.
But
Definitely moving fast.
Yeah. Okay,
It kind of takes more time. Like, if it was folded and put behind the Quiet Please sign, and then
feels like it'd be
pulled
more
it out.
conspicuous.
Yeah.
Because it would, like, jut out from the wall.
Jerry did it so he would be caught. He's like a serial killer. He needs the attention.
All right. Peter, look, Meg said. The fifth clue was all crumpled when we found it, but the others were folded neatly. Maybe someone read it before us. Possible, but who had the opportunity? Asked Peter. Suddenly there was a knock at the front door, and Peter ran to open it. It was a policewoman. Alice tried to explain what had happened. Let me get this straight. The officer sounded puzzled. This valuable book was hidden on purpose, but then it was stolen? What exactly is it worth? Many thousands of dollars, said Alice, especially to a mystery lover. Miss Mackintosh, you'll have to come down to the station to make a statement, said the officer. And we'll have to close the library so we can search for clues and the book. Close the library? Alice cried. This is a disaster. Come on, Alice, said Gramps. Why don't you call your dentist? Then at least your tooth will feel better. I just did. Dr. Hugo's calling me back, Alice sighed. Okay, everybody, I'm locking up the library. Meg and Peter gathered up their detecting things. Caroline went to get her pocketbook. Gramps got his radio. Mr. Plotnick picked up his briefcase. Where's Jerry? Asked Alice.
Ah.
Uh-huh.
Here I am, Jerry said as he bounded into the room. I finally remembered to put the recycling bin out, just in time. Got to tell them about Jerry, Peter whispered to Meg. Quick, before he gets away with it. Just give me a second. Meg studied her notes. But your notes are wrong about one thing, Peter pointed out. What? Said Meg. She stared at her notebook. What's wrong in Meg's notes? There's probably like something
picture?
about like... Yeah,
It's
we
like
don't
a
get
missing
a picture.
piece of information or something.
Yeah, it's missing information. All right. Not everyone went downstairs to rescue Alice, said Peter. Hey, you're right. Meg chewed her
Was
pencil.
it Caroline?
I really think, like, because Jerry definitely went down. So that leaves
Did he?
Caroline.
Is he
'Cause
the red herring?
He made a big deal about, like, oh, I have the key.
Yeah, he unlocked the door.
So, like, they couldn't have unlocked the door without him. So the only person who didn't go down was Caroline. So technically she's the only one who had the opportunity.
Did they really pull a sneaky on us?
Yeah, maybe.
Could have got.
Come on, Meg, Peter.
I say
Alice
get Jerry
interrupted
just
them.
in case.
He's still up to something. Caroline, would you please turn off the computer and the lights? And Jerry, would you please mail these letters? Suddenly, Meg was reminded of something on the desk, and all the pieces of the puzzle fell into place. Wait, she called out. I think I know what happened to the Sherlock Holmes book. Mr. Plotnick looked at Meg. Who are you, Sherlock Holmes' great-granddaughter? Meg is a good detective, said Gramps. What have you deduced, Meg? Meg began to explain. The only way to find the Sherlock Holmes book was to read the last clue, the one behind the Quiet Please sign, which said exactly where it was hidden. That means someone deciphered Quiet Please in the code before I did. Only one person had a chance to do that. Who? They all asked. Who had the opportunity?
It was Caroline, because she left her notebook at the front desk where Caroline was working.
Oh.
Dang.
If I get to do some Caroline voice, I haven't done a voice for Caroline yet, so I don't know what to do about her. Caroline, said Meg. Caroline? All heads turned in disbelief.
Me
Caroline.
too, Meg.
Yeah.
And everyone else.
I was almost finished decoding the clue in my notebook when Caroline suggested we look downstairs in the book repair room for a book about codes. That's when we found Alice. Gramps and Mr. Plotnick heard us and came right downstairs too, but Caroline stayed upstairs, where I had left my notebook. on the checkout desk. Jino.
Hey.
That's when she had the opportunity to peek in my notebook, quickly finish deciphering the code, and take The Adventures of Sherlock Holmes before we came back upstairs. Meg paused for a second. And I have a feeling she knew Alice was downstairs because she locked her in.
This is absurd!
Caroline said
You
sharply.
gave a look and I was like, what's he gonna do?
No, it won't be that. My voice will die. This is absurd, Caroline said sharply.
Whoa.
What are you talking about?
As soon as she becomes the villain, her voice changes.
Just friggin' Wizard of Oz, like Wicked Witch.
This is absurd!
Caroline said sharply.
What are you talking about?
There's more proof, said Meg. You left a careless clue. After you read the last clue, you were in such a hurry that you crumpled it up and stuffed it behind the Quiet Please sign. So the last clue isn't folded neatly like the others. Meg's right, Alice blurted out. I did fold all the clues.
Is this some kind of a joke?
My God.
Caroline's voice shook with anger.
I work here!
That's right. So you have a key to get into the library any time, Meg continued. And you have a motive. I heard Jerry say that your uncle had donated the box of old books. I bet you knew that book was valuable and thought your uncle should have given it to you.
You're all wrong. I'm sure the book has only been misplaced,
Caroline insisted.
It might have been accidentally thrown out with the old newspapers I asked Jerry to put in the recycling bin today. This is all a big misunderstanding.
The recycling bin, yelled Jerry. Oh no, I think I heard the crew pick it up already. Oh, Meg, Peter looked worried. Maybe you made a mistake. I thought the book might be in the recycling bin. It's okay, Jerry, said Meg. I think I know where The Adventures of Sherlock Holmes really is. Where is the book?
It's in the Louisa May Alcott statue. No, I'm kidding. Is it in like Caroline's bag or something?
Caroline went into her office. Maybe it's in her office.
Oh, yeah. Jino picks up on details.
That's my guess. I'm locking in and I'm doubling down.
Jerry has it, said Meg.
Jerry?
Oh, they're in it together.
Wait, they really are in it together.
I knew he had something to do with it, said Peter. No, he didn't. Meg shook her head.
Oh.
It's in the package Jerry's about to mail. Caroline put that package on the desk after we came upstairs. I'm sure it wasn't there before. When Peter accidentally knocked over the pile of books and mail, I noticed a new large package, which Caroline had addressed to herself. I thought that was suspicious. I just now figured out that it was a quick way to get the book out of the library. Have Jerry mail it.
Ah.
That's kind of clever.
Yeah.
Mailing a package to yourself, Caroline? Asked Alice. That seems a bit odd. Surely you wouldn't mind opening the package just to prove it one way or the other.
No, you open it.
Caroline turned away.
How petty.
I bet Caroline's been like, I've been assistant librarian for too long. I want to be the head librarian and have $1 million.
Yeah, that's what happens when you become head librarian. You get a big pay raise. There's a lot of money in libraries.
I want to sell the Sherlock Holmes book and finally cash out for $2,000.
Jerry handed the package to Alice. She ripped it open, and sure enough, the Sherlock Holmes book was inside.
Caroline! I haven't been doing voices this whole time.
Caroline, how could you?
Exclaimed Alice. That book was worth a fortune, Caroline cried. And it could have been mine.
Caroline sounds so different.
Christian Bale!
Uncle Jack should have given it to me. Uncle Jack should have given me those old books. I thought I could sneak one out of the box without anyone noticing. I came in early this morning. I didn't think Alice would be here. When I heard her downstairs, I panicked. I didn't want her to see me snooping around, so I shut the door on her. But I couldn't find the book. Then I heard Jerry coming, so I left.
Huh.
I did come back to let you out, Caroline explained to Alice, but everyone was here. When I learned the kids were solving a Sherlock Holmes mystery, I realized you must have hidden the book and that I had a chance to find it before them. I never thought it would come to this. Alice shook her head. I'm sorry, Caroline, but I think I'll have to look for a new assistant. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Mr. Plotnick had been examining the book. This meets all the specifications.
This is fake.
This meets all the specifications of an authentic first edition of The Adventures of Sherlock Holmes, he said. It's a real treasure, Gramps told Alice. I know the library will be a good home for it once you get it in a safe library case. And then there's a picture of like everyone looking happy, and then Caroline's off to the side like, eh. Nice detecting, Meg and Peter, Alice said. This turned out to be quite a mystery. Alice, Jerry called out. Oh, that's Jerry. Alice, Jerry called out. Telephone. I detect it's your dentist, said Meg. He can take you this afternoon, added Peter. How do you know that, Peter?
Maybe he picked up the phone.
But Jerry has the phone.
No, I don't know.
Thank goodness, said Alice. But how do you know?
Okay.
Oh, okay. It's part of a bit.
It's elementary, boo, said Gramps. We are detectives, Meg said, laughing. And very clever ones, Alice hugged them. Very clever indeed. Case closed.
Hey, wow.
We did it, gang.
We did not do
We did it, gang.
We were going to throw Jerry behind
Yeah,
bars.
100% success rate.
Melt the key.
Wow. That was fun.
Yeah.
That was fun.
That fulfilled my nostalgia of wanting to be a detective as a kid.
Nice.
So,
I appreciated that mystery actually made sense.
yeah.
I still get flashbacks about that one Encyclopedia Brown mystery. That was like, where is the thing? It's in the hot dog because the condiment order was wrong. Like, shut up, Encyclopedia Brown. No one in their right mind would be like, he put the mustard down first. He's under arrest. Like, no.
Caroline had the motive, but she seemed like such a nice person from the get-go that she flew under the radar.
You can
This is
never
tricky.
trust a nice person.
Some
That's
of
why I
these
don't
books-
trust Michael. Or Victoria.
And you're correct, too. This entire time, I've been planning to steal Nostalgia Club's back catalog. I just can't find it in any of the file cabinets.
What? What's a megabyte?
Wow. Yeah. Thanks, Elizabeth, for recommending this to us.
Were you about to thank us?
Well, I was going to be like, thank you for reading it.
Thank you,
was-
Elizabeth.
Yeah.
Thank you, Elizabeth.
And thank you for writing in. And thank you to Meg Mackintosh
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
saving.
Private Ryan.
Meg Mackintosh will be played by Tom Hanks.
Wow.
And thank you, writer of Dragon Academy,
Kate.
Kate.
Kate McMullen.
Thank you, Kate McMullen.
And also, the author of Meg Mackintosh was Lucinda Landon. Thank you, listener, for listening to this fun read-along. Did you solve the mystery? Let us know in the Q&A section on Spotify, or leave us a comment.
Or write us a very detailed email, point by point, about how you are better at this than we are. And we know you are. You don't have to say it to our faces. We know. We know.
If there's anything that you would like us to cover in future episodes, write us at nostalgiaclubpodcast@gmail.com or follow us on Instagram at nostalgiaclubpodcast. And until next time.
I still think Gerald is guilty. Not of this, but of something, you know?
He's buying binoculars.
He yelled at a child.
It's fine. He's innocent until proven guilty.
Yeah, I guess.
Sorry, Gerald.